Everyone is a leader, but not everyone is a manager. Another way to put this is that leadership is a spectrum or a big fuzzy complex space, whereas management is something you either do or you don't do. In this video, I'm going to explain this in a bit more detail and look at how management and leadership differ and how they relate to each other. Hey, how's it going? This is Scruffy Leadership, a YouTube channel about management and leadership. My name's Ben, and I've been a leader and a manager in the tech industry for over 25 years. People management is a fairly black and white thing. You either manage people or you don't. Being a manager is a formal role that can only be assigned to you by the organization you work for. So unless you're the CEO or founder, you can't usually just decide that you're going to be a manager. By the way, throughout this video, I'm using the word manager. I don't mean project management or program management or any other kind of management other than specifically people management. So what does a people manager do? The exact nature of the work a manager does can vary dramatically from company to company and from role to role, but that's really because most managers don't just manage people, they also do other things. So what I'm talking about in this video is the parts of the job that are actually people management. So you might be a manager who also writes code, or you might be a manager who also designs or tests products. The common elements are people management. In its most basic sense, being a manager is about having responsibility for the careers of other people. This means having some responsibility for day-to-day stuff like approving expenses and other administrative things, but most of it's more about looking towards the future and making sure the people you manage have what they need to do their jobs well and that their careers are going in the directions they want to be going in. Some of this can be fairly invisible to the people you manage. You might be quietly removing obstacles from them, negotiating for things on their behalf, advocating for them. Other parts of it are just between you and them. Mentorship and coaching are a big part of it, providing advice both about short-term questions that they're wrestling with right now, as well as helping them to think about where they want to be going and what they need to get there. A lot of it is about feedback, making sure that the people you manage know when they're doing well and when they're not doing so well, that they know what strengths you see them having and what areas you want them to develop or improve on. In some cases, it can mean having really tough conversations, telling people they aren't going to get that promotion they want, or even that they're fired. Every manager is a leader, but not every leader is a manager. This is because, as I said at the beginning, leadership is a very broad spectrum. If you're on your first day in your first job and you found out where the bathroom is, and someone else who started the same day as you hasn't, and you help them find the bathroom, then you're being a leader. If you notice someone is struggling and you help them, no matter what your formal role, you're showing leadership. If you notice a problem and you come up with a way to fix it, you're being a leader. Leadership is everything you do that affects other people in ways that help the company to succeed. If you're a manager, then ideally every management activity you engage in is helping not just the people you manage, but also the company you all work for. In a very simplistic sense, if you spend a whole one-to-one with a report just listening to them vent about something that's really upset them, you might not feel like you've achieved much, but you most likely have made that person feel a bit better, made them a little bit more productive, and have therefore helped the company be a little bit more successful. Now, you might be wondering, if everyone is a leader, what's the point of even having a word for it? Well, perhaps I shouldn't say that everyone is a leader. Rather, everyone has the ability to be a leader. And most people demonstrate this fairly regularly. But the amount and quality and style of leadership that people demonstrate varies dramatically. So that person who's on the first day of their first job might not get another chance to demonstrate leadership for a few more weeks, whereas the CEO of the same company is hopefully demonstrating leadership continually in every action they take, every conversation they have, every smile they give. And that means that you can be continually improving your leadership, and also that you can move in a steady direction of increasing how much leadership you are demonstrating. Sometimes this will be about formal titles or role changes. Maybe you become a tech lead for a project, but most of the time it's much more invisible and much more just about how you behave. Okay, so let's go back to our new starter who's shown someone where the bathroom is. I called that leadership, and I can imagine you might have raised your eyebrows at that. It's a pretty extreme example to give, but I chose it deliberately because I wanted to show just how wide the range of activities can be that fall under leadership. But the range of behaviors is much narrower. Everything a leader does is about helping other people and helping the organization you all work for to succeed. Sometimes it might not be obvious to everyone that what the leader is doing is helpful. So when the leader has to give harsh feedback to a team member, for example. But they're not doing this to be hurtful. They're not doing it just for the sake of it either. Hopefully. They're doing it because they know it's necessary in order for that person to grow and to become better at doing their job. So in this sense, management is actually a pretty pure form of leadership. The role of manager is entirely about leading by helping other people. Now, again, that doesn't mean that everything a manager does is leadership, because that's not always the case, but everything that a manager does that is related to their role as a manager is a form of leadership. But it's a particular kind of leadership. It's leadership with accountability. Showing someone where the bathroom is does not require accountability, but management does. So what does that mean? It means that if you're a manager and something goes wrong with one of the people you manage, you should be ready to answer questions about it. You should be able to explain what went wrong and why, and what you're going to do about it, how you're going to make sure it doesn't go wrong again, what you've learned from it, and what you're going to help other people learn from it. This is part of management, and it can be part of leadership, but it doesn't have to be. So perhaps one way to think about this is that leadership is a behavior and management is a formal role that requires leadership behavior. Now, this isn't quite perfect because we often have leadership roles like tech leadership, but I'd argue that there are still two separate things there. There's the leadership role and there's the leadership behavior. If you want to be a great leader, it's vital that you learn from your mistakes. If you want to hear about a big mistake I made as a leader and how I learned from it, check out the video that's on the screen now. If you have thoughts or questions about the subject of this video, why not let me know about them in the comments below? And the same goes if you have any ideas for subjects you'd like to see me cover in future videos. Bye. See you soon.